I'm gonna tell you something really controversial, but everyone shouldn't become a data analyst. The competition is just too high and it's not made for everybody. But there are other analyst jobs with lower competition, still high salaries, and no experience or degree required. And the data analyst is a very general role, but there are also more specific analyst roles. And you'll still be an analyst and many skills overlap, but it's just that you're doing it for a more specific thing. And there are many benefits to being specialized. There may be lower competition for jobs and higher pay and more interesting work. Today I'm going to show you 10 analyst roles that hire entry-level candidates, and most of these will be available to you even without a degree and without any experience. So let's just get started right away. Imagine a small local coffee shop that is struggling to survive. It's been a rough season and they need more customers. So what do? Well, they hire a marketing analyst named Jamie who dives into their customer data. Jamie is able to uncover valuable insights about what the customers actually want and find some new opportunities that they can make use of. By taking action on these new insights, the coffee shop sees a significant increase in both customers in the store as well as overall sales, and the coffee shop can live yet another day. So a marketing analyst is basically responsible for using data to improve the marketing of a company. And it could be customer preferences, different buying habits, and their competitors as well. The average salary for a marketing analyst will of course depend on your location, your industry, and your experience and all that stuff, but it's often around 80,000 per year in the US, which means around 60k on the low end and about 100k on the high end. So what does the future look like for a marketing analyst? Well, businesses, they understand that they need a combination of data and marketing and that it's really important. And from my sources that I checked, which I'll leave in the description, it's projected to grow at around 19% from 2018 to 2028, which is way faster than most jobs. It is also worth noting that you don't need to stay as a marketing analyst for the rest of your life. If you want to climb the ranks or do something else, you can even become a marketing manager or even a director of marketing. And there are many different things that you can do as a marketing analyst. So how do you get started as a marketing analyst? Well, one way is to learn basic marketing principles as well as analytics, and then kind of combine that together with data analysis, while also becoming familiar with things like Google Analytics and different tools for those purposes. Meta actually has a pretty good course that you can take, which is called Meta Marketing Analytics Professional Certificate, and it's going to give you a solid introduction to the field at a low cost or even free if you take it for free. Up next, we have the sports analyst. So imagine a small, unknown basketball team with great players but limited resources. And they're really struggling to compete against the better funded teams that have, great coaches and staff and huge budgets. But this team decides to hire a young sports analyst called Max. And Max is a lifelong fan of basketball, but he also has an eye for patterns and statistics, although he doesn't have a formal degree. Max has now become a sports analyst for this team, and he identifies unique strengths in their playing style and also pinpoints their hidden weaknesses so that they can improve in their playstyle. The new insights from Max lead to massive improvements, and eventually the team starts to win more and more games. He's completely turned the team around, and they're just wondering why they didn't hire him sooner. So what does a sports analyst actually do? Well, they use data and statistics to evaluate the performance of athletes and teams to assist in strategy development. The salary estimates will vary a lot, but with one source claiming around 67,000 per year and another one around 72,000. But I really want to emphasize that if you're at the top tier teams or you're like the top tier sports analyst, you can make way more money. And the pay will really depend on the teams and the leagues and the companies that you work with. But the main benefit of this job isn't the pay, but rather that it gives you a complete, unique opportunity to bring your passion for sports and analytics together and actually help teams and real athletes using data. As a sports analyst, you're likely going to work within a specific sport and also become more specialized as you do so. So how do you get started? Well, you of course need a deep understanding of the chosen sport, which you might already have, as well as a strong foundation in statistics. Now, from my research, it does seem like the career path isn't always as clear here, and the networking can be really important as well. You can kind of start by building some experience, volunteering for local sports teams, doing different internships with organizations, or you can even do a personal project analyzing sports data. Next up on the list, we have the business analyst, and there's a medium-sized tech company that's facing a lot of challenges with their new product launch. The product just isn't selling as much as they thought, but they don't really understand why that is. It's time for a business analyst to get to work. He conducts a thorough analysis of everything from customer feedback to how the product is sold to the actual end consumers. The insights help this team not only boost the product sales, but also streamline their product management in the process and become way more efficient, which helps to make future launches significantly better. But what does the business analyst actually do? Well, they bridge the gap between IT and the business units using data analytics to help improve the business and their performance. And they understand what the business actually needs, the different requirements, and their objective is to figure out data-driven solutions to these different problems. For that reason, a business analyst will make around 74,000 to 93,000 per year in the US, and the role is projected to grow about 9% from 2018 to 2028, so about 10 years, which is also really, really good. And that's not surprising as with all of these roles because data is really important. Now, during your career as a business analyst, you can of course become a senior analyst or a manager or whatever you want to do, and you can also transition into project management or other business functions or even data analytics if you want to. Alright, number 4 is the environmental analyst, and we're actually in a critical time right now. There's a coastal village that's suffering from declining fish populations and a lot of water quality issues. This affects many things, including the local fishing industry that all of the locals survive on. Without fish and a healthy ocean, they cannot sustain themselves. Leo is an environmental analyst working for a local environmental agency by the United Nations, and he gets to the village and starts taking samples which he then analyzes, as well as investigates the fishing and other activities in the area. His findings lead to the identification of a pollution source and that they've been overfishing for years, leading to a decline in available fish. Based on his new recommendations, the village council implements new policies and strategies, which results in a slow but significant improvement of the water quality and finally a restoration of the marine life in the area. That is the work of an environmental analyst. They basically conduct assessments, analyze data, and develop recommendations for environmental protection. Most people that do this are surprisingly or not surprisingly very passionate and appreciate the fact that they can make a real impact on the environment, but they of course still need to get paid. And they make on average around 58,000 to 69,000 per year in the US. The job has a positive outlook with an expected growth rate of around 6 to 8% from 2018 to 2032. You can also become a more senior analyst or specialize in something you're passionate about. You can work in policy development or even become some manager or a director of some, national or global environmental program. There are many different paths that you can go down in this career. Now, I need to just put out a disclaimer here that this one is going to be harder than the other ones because you'll need a background in environmental science and ecology. And the most direct path that you can get to, break into the field is to simply get a degree in the field. If you want to do this, it's also a good idea to look into volunteering in different organizations that help the environment. It's a great place to meet the perfect connections, but also just have a good time if you like it. But now we're done with all of the positive impact, so let's make some money. Next up we have the financial analyst, and if you've always had an interest in numbers and different financial markets and you're curious about how companies manage their finances and make different investments, then this job is probably something for you. Here you'll be responsible for assessing the financial situation of a business, analyze their financial data and guide their investment decisions. All really important stuff, and that's why you're well paid. Now, the average salary shows around 70,000 per year, which is pretty similar to the other ones, but it can also be way higher as well at the top firms, so don't let it completely fool you. The salary can be a lot higher as well. The job outlook is pretty good for this one too, because it's relatively stable. It's not a new job by any means, and there are, many different types of opportunities across different industries, and the demand for financial expertise in the business world is not going anywhere anytime soon. The employment is projected to grow around 9% from 2021 to 2031, which is great as well. So how do you get started with this one? Well, here a bachelor's degree will often be needed, let's just be honest. For example, in finance, economics, and so on. And you can then also get certified, for example, as a CFA or a Chartered Financial Analyst certification. A common way to succeed as a beginner in this field is to get an internship or an entry-level position in a financial department where you can learn a lot of things on the job as well as climb the ranks one step at a time. And here, networking can also be really the key to success. Alright, next up on the list we have the medical analyst, but for this one you don't need to be a doctor or something, don't worry. But in this case there's a crisis. A major hospital in Texas are struggling to manage their growing patient data effectively. It's become a nightmare in the hospital and it's now leading to delays in treatments and a lot of different challenges in patient care. The doctors input data onto the wrong patients because of all of this mess in the system, and this is an absolute crisis. But we have our superhero of the story, which is our medical analyst named Sam. Sam's always been really fascinated by healthcare and data, but instead of pursuing a medical degree, he learned data analysis himself. Sam begins to analyze the problem, looks for a solution, and then begins to implement a new data management system for the hospital. Medical analyst is basically someone who specializes in analyzing clinical data to improve healthcare services and different patient outcomes. And this can include the different records of patients, the treatment outcomes, and also a lot of different healthcare processes. It is all about using data and collaborating with healthcare professionals to improve the overall treatment provided to the patient. So I think it's a very, very important job to say the least. And the average salary is not as high as the financial analyst with around 60,000 per year, but you can also make way more if you're specialized. This is really important because a lot of data and things are getting more complex in the healthcare industry. You know, we have online healthcare providers, we have hospitals with thousands of clients, and they have to store all of this data, and there's a lot of opportunities and risks involved in all of these things. That is why the demand for this job is very strong. Now, to get started, you should have a good understanding of math and statistics, be proficient with data storage, wrangling, warehousing, and data mining, and also comfortable with languages like Python, R, and SQL. Of course, not all of them, but you'll be able to, work and do the things they need to do. You should also understand visualization tools and also have an interest in healthcare, like actual industry knowledge. Next on the list, we have the HR analyst, and this is especially valuable for larger companies with a lot of employees because that comes with many different challenges when you have like a huge workforce. It is very difficult to expand the workforce, to find the right people, to know what roles to hire, and what to actually pay people, as well as other challenges that appear when you're building a team, especially a large team. So you're probably not going to be an HR analyst for like a small firm with 10 people. There's simply not enough work to do for you. But if you are working, you probably work at like a big firm. A day in the life of an HR analyst might start with analyzing employee turnover data, and then you might move over to developing a new employee feedback survey, and at the end of your day, you might present some of your new insights to the management team. Simply put, an HR analyst is someone who uses data to improve human resource management from hiring to employee satisfaction and retention. It is all about building a better workplace with the right people. And the average salary is around 60K per year, and your work is also really important here. You're helping to shape the company's culture, and you're directly impacting employee well-being and productivity. So you'll also often work with top management for this reason. Now, the job outlook is good. Companies are constantly pressured to create good environments for their employees and live up to the standards, like different diversity standards, and just making sure everybody's happy. With this job, your career path could also lead you to senior HR analyst or also to specialized roles like talent management or organizational development. There are many different opportunities. So how do you get started in this one? Well, you should have a foundational knowledge in both human resources and data analysis because it's kind of like a mix between the two. You're an analyst, but specifically for HR. Next up, we have the operations analyst, and there's a manufacturing company in California that's facing troubles in their production line, leading to a lot of delays and increased costs. The company brings on Mariah, an operations analyst with a mix of analytical skills and good understanding of operational processes. Now, Mariah doesn't have a formal degree in operations management. She begins to analyze the production processes and discovers a lot of existing bottlenecks and different inefficiencies. The company is able to streamline their operations, reduce their costs, and improve product quality in the process. For this reason, they're able to increase profit and customer satisfaction at the same time. Now, Mariah is actually an operations analyst, and they make around 67,000 per year, or a lot higher depending on the sector, of course. This job also has a wonderful future, with a job outlook of around 23% growth from 2018 to 2028. And I think that's the highest one on the list so far. It's a really significant number. There is a constant need for operational improvement in businesses, making this a very stable and in-demand career. To get started, you should learn business operations, supply chain management, and then combine this with data analytics. Now, you can of course get a degree, which will be really helpful to get a job as well, as employers respect it, but you can also learn most of the actual material and like the things you're supposed to learn for free online. Alright, we're getting to the final analyst roles now, but these ones are also really amazing. So, number 9, the market research analyst. Imagine yourself working for a company that's about to launch a new product. There is a challenge in this case, and that's actually understanding the target market and potential demand for the product. Do people actually want the product? Is it a high demand? Is there, low demand, or what's the current situation? And that is when a market research analyst steps in, which is you in this case, to gather and analyze real market data to predict the success of the new product. This is really important because often, especially with services and physical products, you'll need to prepare for a product launch. And if you don't have enough products to sell, well, then you can't sell anything. And you also don't want to have too much because that's just a huge waste. A market research analyst gathers and interprets data on customers and competitors to help companies make informed marketing decisions, like doing market research in different focus groups and surveys and overall analyzing all of this stuff. The salary is about the same as a data analyst, 70,000 per year on average. And you can also become a senior analyst, market research manager, or customer insights manager after a few years. To get started, you should combine marketing statistics and also have an understanding of consumer psychology. Alright, so now let's break the pattern here and talk about the data analyst role. And this role is more general. You can do a lot of different things depending on the job description. Perhaps you'll even do something like the work of a marketing research analyst or an HR analyst in your role. But I hope that I open you up to some of the other opportunities in the field as well, and being specialized can really sometimes be the key to success. I'll leave any resources mentioned in the description as well as a free roadmap for beginners. And thank you guys for watching and have an amazing week.